Hello, my name is Amanda Stark, and I'm the Green Party candidate for Elgin-Middlesex-London. And this is my speech entitled Bringing Hope. In preparation for an event the other day, I got thinking about the idea of hope. Hope is a word and concept that's often in short supply in the modern world. The media and advertising agencies spend entire budgets on messaging that gives hope in their products or services. But then in the end, it simply leaves us feeling like we're not good enough. And that's the exact opposite of hope, right? It's an exhausting process. And as adults, we can find ourselves feeling jaded and apathetic because of it. Likewise, politics isn't typically a sphere that inspires hope. With the changing of the guard, especially at election time, we often hear earfuls of assurances, followed by years of broken promises and disappointment. In fact, doesn't the term politician elicit that very feeling of apprehension associated with the letdown? Or for some, I know that feeling rises more to the level of anger. But at the root of the anger is always something deeper: pain, rejection, loss, or threat. It's why we get caught up in whose policies are right and whose are wrong. We get defensive and blamey when talking about the other side, lashing out, looking for any detail we can exploit for our own benefit. We dig in our heels and try to show the other guy what we're made of. But that reminds me of an abusive relationship. Over and over, we trust a system and the same old players, thinking maybe this time we'll see a difference. More money, clearer policies, fairer treatment of marginalized groups, and the list goes on. There's an image of the butterfly in Jennifer Castle's song called Monarch Seasons. It's an apt description or characterization or embodiment of the fleeting feelings that come at election season. While the efforts and energy expended in the operations of an election are intense, we are assured that it's only going to last just a few more weeks. Or maybe you, like Jennifer, relate more to the feeling of flying away. And in this case, it would be to escape the conflict. Both are valid and very real experiences. But there is a third type of imagery that I also find appropriate in this context. And for that, we need to remember how the butterfly began. As a hardworking, instinct-driven entity, the caterpillar started out with a solitary purpose: to eat, grow larger, and eventually to metamorphosize to a greater potential. Sometimes I see the human experience reflected in this process. As children, we follow our instinct-driven desires and purpose, with a metamorphosis-like transition that happens in our teen and early adult years. As a collective, we experience the same type of evolution, sometimes many times over. Sometimes our wings are torn, sometimes we lose our way, but sometimes we find our rhythm and we soar above the chaos below. And that's the sentiment I'd like to leave with you today. It was Michelle Obama who said, "When they go low, we go high." When we face bullying or conflict or nastiness of any kind, we really don't need to meet them at their level. We can choose to rise above. As I watched the coverage of the 20th anniversary of 9/11 the other day, I was inspired by the words of the current and past presidents and their calls for unity. Their words of wisdom encourage listeners to rise above the hatred and divisive ideology that fueled that fateful day. Similarly, today we face a different version of that divisiveness. And I want to remind constituents that we too can stand up to populism, emotionalism, and negativity, which has weaseled its way into our communities. We don't have to take that bait or fall prey to it, but neither should we fight it. As Martin Luther King taught us, only love can conquer hate. Together, we can stand in love and in peace. We can be a part of the metamorphosis process for humanity, leading the way, inspiring new possibilities. We don't need to stay stuck in abusive patterns. Like Jennifer's song, I see the wings in everything. I can't keep my mind from flying away with them. I see the possibilities in our collective efforts, friends. I see the prospects in our resilience. I see the promise in our heartfelt and hopeful responses to tragedy. With these things in mind, I want to remind voters of your power during these times. During my canvassing, I've heard the discouragement loud and clear, the feelings of futility or even desperation. So I know it's easy to feel like you just have one vote and what kind of difference can that make? But it's not just one vote. Elgin-Middlesex-London is made up of 82,062 eligible electors. That's a lot of people with just one vote. And with this power of choice comes great responsibility. Thank you, Peter Parker. I stand before you today, a woman who believes in miracles. I was once a victim of a horrific car crash, and I was in a coma for 11 days. I'm certain that was the longest week of my mother's life. But thanks to the power of prayer, thanks to the power of modern medicine, and the power of a community of support, I am now here with you today. So when it comes to this election, I think nothing is impossible, friends. The sky is the limit. Unlike the miracle migration of the monarch happening at this time of year, I stand with you believing in a miracle migration of our political system. It is time to be daring, time to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly, to dare to be different, to choose the higher road, and to come together as a nation with hope. Thank you.